65% of cowboys were Latino, and if you've heard any other number or any other stat, it's either wrong or intentionally misleading you. The truth is, cowboys exist because of Latin America, and there are no opinions here, there are no arguments here. This is just going to be cold, hard facts. Now let's start by talking about one of the biggest mistruths, the origin of the word cowboy. Some people are going to say that it was an adaptation of vaqueros, some people said that it's from African American culture. The truth is, it came from Britain. They had cowboys. They were boys who herded cattle. And we know this to be a fact because it is first documented as such in Britain in the 1600s. Now, 100 years before them, the Spaniards had vaqueros. They were the ones that really brought up the herding cattle ideal. Riding horses, herding cattle, that's from Spain. In the 1500s, the Spaniards brought that over to New Spain, aka modern-day Mexico, and it was there that the culture of cowboys was created. The fit, the gear, the styles, the vernaculars, the tradition and cultures, all of that came from New Spain, aka Mexico, aka Latin America. Words like rodeo, chaps, lariats, mustang, those all come from Spanish. The 10-gallon hat doesn't make sense because it's not an English word. It's actually 10 gallons, which is, gallons are the things used to measure a hat's brim. And remember, Mexico and these vaqueros were already in the Midwest cattle ranching long before America got there. White Americans saw vaquero culture, and they took it and just put the name cowboy on top of it. But you know what name they also tried that also stuck? Buckaroo. Have you ever wondered where buckaroo comes from? It comes from vaquero. Vaquero, buckaroo. And we'll end this video on one of the biggest lies told about cowboys, and that's that 3/4 of cowboys were white and 1/4 of cowboys were black. And it's not that that statistic is wrong, it just lacks context, see? Because back then, they didn't count people who weren't white or black. So if you were black, you were black. But if you were anything other than black, you were just white. They also only surveyed a specific area and had specific requirements to be considered a cowboy. So yes, in that specific context, 1/4 of cowboys were black, but 3/4 being white, entirely incorrect. And when you remember that cowboys are not exclusive to the United States and white America, and you consider all of the Americas, because remember, Central and South America had their vaqueros, they had their gauchos, long before the United States had their cowboys, you then take all of those numbers and those demographics, and you realize that over half of cowboys across the Americas were Latino. And this is not to dilute any influences that white people and black people and Asians and indigenous people have had on cowboy culture. They all certainly have. But the majority of that culture, the majority of the influence into cowboy culture, its origins, and it continues to be a staple of Latin America. Hope you enjoyed the video, everyone, and have a magical day.